It's kind of difficult for young people to manage their time because of the social media, Facebook, Twitter, and everything. But I guess if we use those information, you will survive of it. But before our next topic today, we'll watch a funny video. We all know how communication is important in our life, so that's why we'll have our next topic, how to communicate effectively, by Cristhian Lopez and Carlos Guzman. Cristhian, he's come from Honduras. He studied public accounting in high school, graduating in 2010. He participated in different activities in his hometown and was an active member of a communication program and a community theater group addressing social problems such as AIDS, HIV, education, and family abuse. Currently, he is majoring in business entrepreneurship at Broome Community College. Carlos Guzman, he is the second oldest of 5 siblings. He got a 3-year scholarship from a program called Foundation Uno from 2008 to 2010, and he graduated from high school the same year as an honor student. He currently belongs to the Honor Society at SUNY Broome. Also, he is determined, self-motivated, and a hard worker. He likes reading, playing soccer, also the business world. Going back to El Salvador, he wants to continue studying and specializing in international business. So help me welcome Carlos Guzman and Cristhian Lopez.
Have you ever said something that I use the other? Have you ever said something that nobody understood what you meant? I bet everybody has. And you know why it happens? Because we don't communicate effectively. Okay, as we go through our topic, we're gonna give you some key things to communicate effectively. But let's start. with the definition of communication. Communication is a social process. Why? Can somebody tell me why it's a social process?
Because it is the way you can communicate with each other, like interaction with the people. If you can communicate with the people, the life will be hard, and we can live, we can buy people, we can interact with each other.
Yeah, right. Definitely, it's a social process because we interact with each other. Because it is involved people. So that's why it's a social process, which purpose is transferring, sharing information. Like, for example, the thoughts we have, data, facts, opinions, ideas, etc. As I said, the purpose, one of the main essential purpose of communication is understanding, informing, creating, giving meaning or benefit to receivers. In this case, receivers can be the listeners. So let's make the definition very well. Okay, communication is a social process of transferring or sharing information through thoughts, data, facts, opinions, with the purpose of creating, understanding, informing, giving meaning or benefit to receivers. Every time we want to communicate, we want to express something, right? We want others to listen to us. But sometimes we are not really effective when we do that, because sometimes we tend to give opinions or give ideas that nobody understands what we mean, or things like that. Okay, and what is effective communication? Effective communication occurs when the content of the information is received. I'm the communicator, I'm talking, you as the listener, you are receiving the information. Then, if you understand what I mean, so the communication was effective. If I'm trying to tell you something and you understand what I'm saying, so we are being effective. And the goal of effective communication is creating a common perception. That means that what I say makes sense for you and makes sense for me. Changing behaviors. Why changing behaviors? Because sometimes when we communicate or when we want others to do something, we pursue and we try them to change their mind or to let them, or to make them do what we want or what we're saying. And acquiring information, when we're informing or just expressing an idea, information or report, something that somebody says, we're just giving information and you are acquiring the information and take it to yours. And the sender and the receiver, the communicator or the listeners, have to have a win-win situation where I say something that I want to say and you receive it. And if I say it right and you understand it right, so I win and you win too. Besides that, why communication is important to your life and career? Can somebody tell me why it is important to your life communicating with others?
Because you can have a great idea in the world, but if you cannot communicate, it's like it's a bad idea, because you cannot spread your idea to other people and they are not going to know what your idea is.
Yeah, right. I was going to say that is because you can have the greatest ideas in the world, you can have the best answers, you can have the best resolution for any problem, but if you don't know how to express it, if you don't know how to say it, if you don't know how to communicate it well, it doesn't work. Yeah.
What about relationships? If you can't express how you feel about somebody, you may lose the opportunity to have relationships.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That has happened to me sometimes.
In fact, he's all nodding yes.
You know, we the men, we are not always very, we don't really like, well, in my case, I'm not a really affected person. It's hard for me to express my feelings. I think it's like, oh, okay. And sometimes somebody mean a lot to me, but I don't know how to express it. I don't know how to communicate that through actions, through words. I think I'm better at words in actions. So, okay, as I said, express ourselves, our ideas, messages, opinion. And in the job, it is important in the job. Oh yeah, it is very important because let's put some examples. In sales, what do you do in sales? You sell something, right? And what do you have to do? You have to talk. You have to pursue, and you have to sell the thing, sell yourself, talk, and sell the product, present it in a good, beautify the product, beautify your service in order to get sold your product. Customer service. Customer service is really important because you are always talking with people, and if somebody is asking you to solve a problem and you don't know how to say it, you might know how to solve it, but if you don't know how to say it, it's not going to be effective. Entrepreneurs, half of the room here, we are entrepreneurs, and we like to be creative, express our ideas, to come out with new things. So we know how we have to pursue other people in order to attract them to our ideas and complete our goals or dreams. Working teams, that's very important because when you're working in teams, everybody has to give their opinions, everybody has to be in the same page, I would say. We have to be in the same page in order to do the work effectively. Look at this picture. And that is why when we live on 3. Do you understand the why? The patient was there, but one of the assistants, he lifted before or maybe after. So they weren't communicating really well, so maybe they hurt the patient. Yeah, maybe, who knows. Employer's expectation. The employers expect you to organize your idea before you express them. Because sometimes you can have an idea and you can mix it up, or you can say in another way, and maybe somebody will understand that question or that idea in another way. They expect you to express the idea, the information, in a coherently and persuasively manner. When I say persuasively, it's like you convince the people of your idea. If you have an idea, you gotta convince the people to your idea and make them believe what you're saying. Communicating in a civilized, educated manner. You gotta be professional. You gotta say the things in a good manner. Don't say it just because you have to say it and offend people. Using the resources and channels effectively. Nowadays we have many resources. We have the internet, we have telephones, smartphones, iPads, everything. So if you have the opportunities, if you have the resources, use it. Use them in an effective manner. Important to consider when communicating. Know your audience. That's really important. Consider the age. You're not going to be expressing your ideas or communicating to kids the same way as you communicate to adults, because they might not have the same knowledge and in processing the information as the adults have. Religion, that's true. If you are communicating some things to a different kind of view of religions, it's going to be hard for them to understand what you're saying. Sex, people say that women are more complicated. Sometimes they say things that I have seen the girls say that when I say no, I don't mean no, I mean keep going, insist more. And I say, what, really? Yeah, I've seen that on Facebook. Intellectual ability, that depends also the education level. If you are talking about business and your audience is people who don't know about business, so you cannot be expressing like we use business words or things like that because your audience won't understand. And important, very important, your culture. We have an example here. We are from different cultures. We use slang. Even though we speak the same language, Spanish, we have many slangs. And sometimes you're telling, for example, the Dominicans, they are telling me something and they use a word and I say, what do you mean by that? And we use that word but in a different way. And I said, that doesn't mean that. Yes, it does. But it's because you can explain to your audience what it means to you. Use body language too. Let me see how many times. Use body language. Non-verbal communication is very important. Sometimes we're saying things and we're expressing different things with our face. It's like saying, are you okay in the conference? Are you enjoying the conference? Yeah, I am. So you're saying yes, but your face is saying no. So try to correlate the things with your face, with your posture, your position, your hands, your arms. Keep eye contact with everybody. Facial expression is important. Effective communication requires that content and body language give the same message, as I said. Where's the mouse? Be careful with emotion. This is important. Because sometimes you can be communicating in a good manner to everybody, or you can expressing yourself very well, but if you are acting in a rude, aggressive manner, people won't pay attention to what you're saying. They're gonna be, or maybe they're gonna be scared of you if you are saying the things with like a boss, like a boss, like imposing your things or making the things that you don't want to hear. Effective communication involves to talk clearly and directly. Talk clearly and be direct to the things. Send the right information. Be truthful. Don't lie to everybody because at the end they won't believe you if you're saying the truth. And also it's effective when the communication is received correctly. An understanding of emotion behind the information happen, and also evolves to create a common understanding of ideas.
Now, as Carlos has been talking about effective communication, now we can see here this model that shows you what's necessary to have effective communication. So we're going to start with the first one, the red one, that says be specific. Why do we be specific? Because when we are sending messages either through an email or if we are talking to an audience or talking to some important people, for example in business, we have to be specific of what we're trying to say. We don't need to tell a lot of background depending on what we're talking about. But sometimes, like in our culture, we come from Latino culture, we tend to say too much and go around, and we go to the point until the end. And I have learned here in this culture, in the American culture, that people go straight to the point. They don't like to waste time. As they say, time is money. So that's why it's important to be specific. The second one is be complete. When we're giving information, we should give the right information, we should give details, everything. Because if we leave details out, then later it may cause confusion to the audience that you are giving the message. Be honest. We have to be honest with information. Be accurate. So what does it mean with accurate? That we have to give the information with no errors. To be accurate. The next one is to be concise. Like I said before, we can be concise, say the things with fewer words, even though we want to say a lot. Like for example, if we are writing a paper, we can be concise and give the information in a few words rather than do a long paper. And at the end, ask for feedback. This is the communication process that we use. We may use this process daily, but perhaps we don't even realize. Yes, from our business communication book, by the way. And by the way, this topic we chose it last year, and this year we're learning about this in one of our business communication. So, like I was saying, we communicate and we use this communication process. The first thing we have is we gotta have an idea of what we are trying to say, or what we're trying to persuade the people. So when we have the idea, for example, if we want to send an email to a professor, if we're asking for information or for a test or whatever we want to say, then we have the idea and then we encode that idea. How do we encode it? Well, basically, encodes means how you're going to express yourself, how you're going to do it, how you're going to wrap up the message, and how are you going to express yourself. If it is through an email, a letter, or if you are speaking like in public. And then when you have encoded your message, you send it. You choose a channel. If it is an email, you choose the internet. If it is verbal, you choose like I'm doing now, verbally. After that, then the receiver gets the message, and he or she receives it, but it doesn't mean that he gets the message like he understood. He gets the message. He doesn't get the message until he decodes it. And how he decodes it is the way he understands the message and how he interprets it, and then he's going to respond to your message. And by doing this, he will send you feedback, which is the last one in here. He or she will send feedback, whether he understood or not, or whether he's going to agree on what you're saying, and that's the way how the communication process goes. Now, we have the ways of communication. We have 4 of them, and the first one is oral communication. Can anybody give me an example of oral communication? Anthony? Another person? Mr. Stewart. Right. Yes, and that's one of the best ways to communicate, oral. Why is important? Because we can demonstrate our body language, we can share ideas, and even ask for help or to discuss things. Like now, what I'm doing is trying to ask you questions and trying to see if you can give me feedback. And also you can see my body language. However, one of the disadvantages is that if I say something orally, then if I say something that is not wrong, that is not right, then I cannot take words back, which means that once that I said it, I'm done. And the second one is written. We have written, and it includes letters. So the written one includes letters, emails, and all the things that go in paper. And the visual are graphics, ads, like what I'm doing now. I'm using these graphics at this PowerPoint presentation to help you understand better what I'm talking about. Because if you don't understand me, then you can have an idea of the presentation. Then the electronic media includes the email, social media, telephone calls, video calls, and all this stuff that we use to communicate. All these ways are very effective nowadays, and we can choose the best one that is the best one for us, depending on our audience and how we want to persuade our message. In the communication environment, there are also some barriers that can destroy the message and can avoid the receiver to get the message. The first one is noise and distractions. Do you think that we have noises in this room or distractions now? Yes, Laura?
Distracting people, maybe just looking
Right.
So that little distraction is distracting from your message you're trying to
Yeah, that's, and also say that a distractor can be like, for example, the room. If you are uncomfortable, if you feel like cold, if you feel hot, or like, for example, the chairs are not comfortable, you're not going to be concentrated on what I'm doing, but you will be concentrated on being warm or being like comfortable. You will not be concentrated on my speech. There are also, the next one is competing messages. This is basically like when we're trying to get a person, like for example, if I send a message to a professor, let's say Laura, and I know that she's busy, so I have to put keywords when I send a message, like I need your help, things like that, so that she can know that I really need her help. Because usually people in the business world and professors and everybody is busy. And sometimes they have too many messages in their mailbox that they don't even have time to read all of them. And the other one is filters. This may include like filters of the internet that people, perhaps the internet stopped and you couldn't send the message and the other person couldn't receive the message. And channel breaks down. This may include, for example, if you tell, like if your boss tells you, I need you to send this message, and if you forget it, then that's a breakdown. Now let's see the do's and don'ts in effective communication. The don'ts is, do not assume that you know the other person's intention. Don't assume the other person is going to know what you're trying to tell them. You have to give the right information. Do not let your nonverbal signals override your words. Like Carlos was saying before, don't let your body language tell more than your words. Like for example, if I ask somebody now, how's the conference? And they tell me, oh yeah, it's fine. But I see the faces like falling asleep. That means that they are not happy being here or they are uncomfortable. Another thing is speak too fast. So I don't know am I speaking fast now? Can you understand me? Oh, good. Yes, because sometimes there are people who, I tell people who speak too fast. Like Carlos, for example, I'm going to pick on him. When we're speaking Spanish, he's like, and I go, what? Say that again, please? Because he speaks too fast that I have to tell him, hey, speak slowly, because that's effective communication. And also, do not use sophisticated words that people will not understand. Because if you use sophisticated words, like if I'm telling you things with sophisticated things, you might be like, what is he talking about? Or you will be concentrated on to know what does it mean, rather than the other stuff that I'm telling you. And do not give ambiguous messages. Give the messages in a clear and effective manner. The do's, the things that we should do when communicating. It's have the person's attention. When you're talking with somebody, try to have their attention. Try to talk to them and make sure they're looking at you in the eyes, make sure they're listening, and make sure they are understanding what you're trying to tell them. Minimize or eliminate background noise, like we were talking about before. Keep communication simple but adult. Emphasize key words. If you are telling somebody to do a task for you, and you see that that person is not understanding, make sure you emphasize again what you want them to do. Encourage and use other modes of communication. And the last one, listen. And I think, I strongly believe, this is one of the most important things that we have to use in communication. Because it's not all about to say and blah, 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 but also to listen carefully of what the people is trying to tell us. And get the message and then send feedback again. Again, the effective communication, provide practical information, give facts rather than vague expressions, present information in a concise and efficient manner, and clarify expectations.
We're out here now, man. I hope you're happy. Yeah, man. Look good. Now what? Well, I just think we should Wells our safety vest. Oh, come on, man. Those vests are for daggone people who really like to use them. The deer don't even see them. They're colorblind, stupid. Golly. Hey, Tiny, did you get something? Tiny, what'd you get? Tiny.
Did you get it?
Think like a wise man, but communicate in the language of the people. William Butler Yeats.
Have questions? Michelet, Brian.
It's not like a question, it's like a comment, and thanks for your topic. It is wonderful. And just I want to say some point that I want to share with you. I really like when you say don't use the word to the people cannot understand. I really like it. And also one thing I wanna share with you is like we have to think before we talk, because sometimes we say something bad things, and after you say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to say that, I'm sorry, but you already say it. But if you think before you talk, it will be better.
First of all, congratulations, guys. I think you did a great job. It was really good. I think the question will just get out of the box, and it will be a little bit picky and just Christian. Was it easy to communicate with Carlos throughout the process to make the presentation?
That's a tough one.
Not really, not really.
If he says it, but yeah, it was kind of difficult sometimes. We argue most of the time. We live we're roommates, but we get along very well. And
We love each other.
yes, we love each other. And finally, we could do the presentation. Thank God.
Any more questions? So,
Great.
Well done. I think one thing about you said about the verbal, which can't be taken back. I would also say that the written word, once it's on paper, once it's an email, and it may not be very clear, that's harder to get back. So communicating through letters or email especially, I think it's very important that you're more careful about what you put on paper, because it kind of stays there, it doesn't go away. Your words, when you speak, you can always try to work it around and try to apologize or find another way to get your point across. So you have time there, but on the written word, I'd be very careful about that, especially your Facebook, your email, stuff that floats around. And especially you guys who are going into business and you want your resumes to be really well done, be careful what you write and put down, because a lot of employers are looking at that these days. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.